Dreaming of traveling Europe, but you think it's too expensive? What if I told you you could do it for just $50 a day? In this video, I'll show you exactly how to explore Europe on a budget without missing out on the fun. Although many European countries are expensive, it is still possible to travel with the mentioned budget. That includes accommodation, food, transportation and activities. I have traveled myself to almost all European countries, so I have some amazing tips to stay under the $50 a day, but still enjoy the amazing places and activities that Europe has to offer. I will be covering the following topics: the accommodation, then the food, third is the transportation, and the fourth last one are the activities. For each category I will share with you what prices you can expect, to then summarize at the end how the whole day for less than $50 could look like. Step 1. Choose affordable destinations. Before we get to the accommodation, there's one super important thing to keep in mind. To make the job easier, think of the destinations first. Although the most popular destinations like France, the UK or Germany are quite pricey, you might want to visit some other countries that are equally beautiful like Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, Portugal or Greece. On the other hand, for the most expensive ones like Norway, Switzerland or Iceland, it could mean more sacrifice on comfort to stay within the budget. However, even for those countries, it's still possible. I have a video of how I plan to travel to Norway for just $45 a day. But I would still recommend limiting your time in cities like Paris, London or Amsterdam, which are great to see, but maybe it's possible to have day trips there from different areas of the country, as those cities are the most expensive ones. In general, we can draw an imaginative line somewhere in the middle of Europe. Western Europe is quite pricey, but Eastern Europe is affordable. Just bear in mind that if you want to travel on a budget, it will be easier in Eastern Europe, and you will still be able to experience the charm and rich history. Step 2. Save on accommodation. There are few levels for saving on accommodations, and so let's break them down. The basic level is sleeping for free. There are actually plenty of ways to stay for free. There's house sitting and pet sitting. Platforms like Trusted House Sitters or Nomad provide this possibility to connect travelers with homeowners who need someone to look after their homes or pets. Another possibility is couch surfing. This website can allow you to stay with locals for free. It's also a great opportunity to meet people and get some amazing travel tips from the locals. But my personal favorite is wild camping. Many countries like Norway, Sweden, Scotland, Finland allow that, and it has an additional spark of adventure to it. But before camping in the wild, make sure to check the local laws before setting up a camp. Level up is camping or hostels. The first one is affordable and popular in most European countries. You can easily travel across Europe sleeping on camping sites only. There are some amazing ones to be found. For example, in Italy, there's usually a restaurant available, nice clean bathrooms and oftentimes swimming pools. On average, a night for a tent or a small camper van for two people would cost about 20 to 25 euros. But in Eastern Europe, it could be even 10 to 15 euros. Regarding hostels, this is also a great way to save up on the accommodation. Usually that's more of an option for students and young people, where you don't bother sleeping in shared dorms. But that's not the only option. You can also book rooms for two in hostels, which gives you a more intimate experience. For the most affordable option, go for bigger shared dorms to pay about 10 to 15 euros in Eastern and 20 to 30 euros in Western Europe. The rooms for two people would be slightly more expensive, reaching 30 to 40 euros for two people in Eastern and 60 to 80 euros in the West. My go-to, because other advantages than the price, which I will talk about in a second, are private apartments, which is the third level. Those are to be found on portals like Airbnb or Booking.com, where the latter one is the one I use basically for every travel. Now, whether this would make a good deal depends on a few factors. First of all, how many people are you traveling? The bigger of a group you are, the cheaper it gets to rent an apartment. And then, are you staying in cities or are you staying in a rural area, maybe close to a national park where the prices might be higher? And the most important thing, Do you want to cook yourself? That's a huge benefit for your wallet, and we'll get to that, but it's just something to bear in mind when choosing your accommodation. The price range is very wide, but from my experience you can find an apartment in the whole of Europe for 60 to 80 euros for 2-3 people a day. Without sacrificing comfort, just make sure to search for clean places, not necessarily luxurious. The last level is hotels, and that's also a good option. However, when in Western Europe you'd be limited to budget hotels like Ibis Budget, Motel 1 or B&B hotels. And even with those, I would recommend traveling off-season and trying to book 2 to 3 months before arrival, comparing the prices on various websites. It is possible to find amazing deals last minute, but that might be a bit risky. Just something to bear in mind. For Eastern Europe, there would be definitely more possibilities, and you can also find great deals in some more fancy places. Step 3. Eat like a local. Also, in the case of food, there are several options that will allow you to stay within the budget and travel under 50 bucks a day. Street food and markets. Most European countries have certain street food options that are way cheaper than restaurants. In addition to that, you can experience the local food culture better and try eating what the locals do. In Berlin, you can try a kebab or a currywurst. In Bosnia, go for a burek, try churros in Spain or pierogi in a Polish milk bar. For a proper meal in a restaurant, you would probably have to spend like 10 to 20 euros. But the street food or local type of fast food, I would even call it, you can get those for half of the price. Now, everyone has a different way of traveling. For me, it was always a normal thing when, as a kid, I used to travel with my parents, and we've been cooking all the meals by ourselves. Not everyone is comfortable with that, and not everyone wants to do that, and that's okay. It's worth considering though that shopping at a local supermarket has many advantages, where the most obvious one is the costs. European groceries, maybe besides Scandinavian countries or Switzerland, are quite affordable, and you can get amazing local products very cheap. Maybe you can just have the breakfasts in your rented apartments. That would already make a huge difference. Also, imagine having a French cheese and a bottle of French wine, having a picnic, cheap and romantic. The last but not least way to save on food is to eat in places where the locals would. Or at least to not eat in places that serve overpriced mediocre food. Unfortunately, these kinds of places can be found in every popular city in Europe. To avoid them, try to ask a local, maybe in your apartment or hostel, what their recommendation is. Check the reviews on Google Maps or just wander off the main attractions. If you find a place where you can't understand a word, chances are there will be great food for a reasonable price. In most European countries, people love to eat out and no one would overpay for their meals. Step 4. Use budget transportation. Arguably, the best way to travel on a budget is to use public transportation. Take buses, trams and metros instead of taxis. Sure, taxis seem to be more comfortable, but public transportation is really amazing in most European cities. Usually, they would also get you to places much quicker as they avoid traffic. Most cities offer daily or weekly passes for all metros, buses and trams, which makes it easy and quite inexpensive to use. Another amazing thing about Europe is that you can travel between countries very easily without spending a lot. Use budget airlines, which will save you a lot of time, as the flights shouldn't take more than 2 hours, but also you are able to find very cheap flights. Ryanair, EasyJet and Wizz Air can get you from one country to another, sometimes for just $30, which is not that uncommon. Make sure to check ahead in which airports the budget airlines operate, get the tickets and plan your travel accordingly. If you prefer to travel on the ground or you can't find a cheap flight, make use of buses and railways. Use budget bus services like Flixbus or train passes like Eurail for longer distances. They will not only cost you probably less than a rental car, but are also really convenient and in many countries operate between cities much faster. Especially countries like France, Spain or Germany have great railway connections with good coverage going high speed. Step 5. Free and cheap activities. Many European cities offer free walking tours. They are usually tip-based, so it's not completely free if you are a decent human being, but still it's up to you what it would cost. Check one of the websites like Guru Walk, Free Tour or New Europe Tours to find your city and the tour that would be interesting for you. You can also ask in a hostel, as they often do the tours themselves. Many European cities offer so-called free museum days. For example, the Louvre in Paris is free on the first Sunday of the month. Bear in mind that it requires some planning though. Check ahead when those free days happen. In many countries, it's common to have them on the first Sunday of the month. Some museums also require pre-booking. And since it's for free, expect more people coming in, so you might want to visit the museum either early in the morning before anyone else or late in the evening, if possible, when it's usually less busy. And the most important tip on free activities is that you don't really need to pay to grasp the beauty of the cities. Many attractions like churches, squares and castles can be accessed for free. And also take advantage of the amazing natural beauty of Europe. Explore parks, beaches and hiking trails for free. Doesn't cost any money, maybe only some very cheap natural park entries, but can be a true highlight of your journey. Step 6. Daily budget breakdown. Accommodation, $15 for a hostel dorm, up to $30 if you're for an apartment. Food. If you eat out once a day but go for street food and do groceries for breakfast and supper, you should land at about $15 to $20. Transportation. A day pass costs about $8 in the major cities. Activities. If you take a free walking tour plus a museum entry, it would be around $10 to $20. As you see, when I add up the lower limits, it would be $48 in total. Of course, there's not really an upper limit, but the different tips and ways of handling the components of your travel will allow you to go even lower with the costs. Now, the final tip for budget traveling to Europe. It's important to understand that flexibility is key to saving money. Travel during the off-season, be open to last-minute deals, and visit other places than the most popular ones. Traveling on a budget doesn't mean missing out. It can mean experiencing Europe in a more authentic and adventurous way. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more budget travel tips, and let me know in the comments where you would like to go with $50 a day. One more thing to keep in mind is that Europe has a huge variety. There are some countries considered the most expensive in the world, others being really affordable. The great thing is that they are also amazing and worth seeing. Check out this video, here are the top 5 insanely cheap and amazing countries in Europe that you must learn about, as those might be your next travel destinations. Cheers, safe travels and do zobaczenia!